my secretaries would have little time for anything other than such correspondence in the course of the day, and I would have no time for constructive work. But since I feel that you are men of genuine goodwill and that your criticisms are sincerely set forth, I want to try to answer your statements in what I hope will be patient and reasonable terms. I think I should indicate why I am here in Birmingham, since you have been influenced by views which argue against outsiders coming in. I have the honor of serving as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an organization operating in every southern state with headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. We have some 85 affiliated organizations across the South, and one of them is the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights. Frequently, we share staff, educational, and financial resources with our affiliates. Several months ago, the affiliate here in Birmingham asked us to be on call to engage in a nonviolent direct action program if such were deemed necessary. We readily consent, and when the hour came, we lived up to our promise. So I, along with several members of my staff, am here because I was invited here. I'm here because I have organizational ties here. Is there justice in injustice, or is it only found in the spelling? Is there justice in injustice, or is it only found in the spelling? In prison as a participant in nonviolent demonstrations against segregation, a social mutation with the apathetic equation, a group of human beings who want change times a group of human beings who are stuck in their ways and resist change, divided completely by ignorance, equals no value. An untimely and unwise plague among us that seeps into our skin, devours our soul, compromises our reasoning, crawls into our psyche and controls us from the inside out. But how do we get it out? We can stick our finger down our throat until we spew out a message of truth, vomit up chunks of love, and wash the ignorant taste, the taste of ignorance, away from our mouths. Wipe the tears of hatred that have kept our eyes and the eyes of our ancestors closed to letting outsiders come in, when we are the outsiders for not letting others come into a place that was already theirs and ours to begin with, just the same. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. But more basically, I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. Just as the prophet of the 8th century BC left their villages and carried their "Thus saith the Lord" far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns, and just as the Apostle Paul left his village of Tarsus and carried the gospel of Jesus Christ to the far corners of the Greco-Roman world, so am I compelled to carry the gospel of freedom far beyond my hometown. Like Paul, I must constantly respond to the Macedonian call for aid. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned with what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds. Injustice is here. It ain't going nowhere. As long as there are dark, ignorant masses around us, it will remain here. We are all tied together in this notebook of injustice by the spiral. And just like the sheets in this notebook, we can be ripped out. But what were your sheets saying? How were your ripping out affecting that page? This notebook of injustice does not have to remain that. It can be easily turned into a notebook for justice. We are as strong as our weakest link. and as powerful as the words that are on the sheet. We have the choice of ripping out our sheets and replacing them with the outsider way of thinking, with words of nonviolence, love, and peace, all throughout the college rule sheets that leak into the college room seats, where Dr. King dreamed we can be together in peace. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. For years now, I've heard the word wait, and it rings in the ear of every Negro with the same piercing familiarity. And this wait has almost always meant never. It has served as a tranquilizing thalidomide that briefly relieves the stress momentarily, only to give birth to an ill-formed infant of frustration. Justice too long delayed is justice denied. Now, I guess it's easy for some people who haven't felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait. But when you've seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your black brothers and sisters at whim with impunity, and when you've seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, brutalize, and even kill your black brothers and sisters with impunity, and when you've seen the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers and sisters suffocated in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of affluent society, or when you find yourself tongue-twisted and stammering for speech as you try to explain to your 6-year-old daughter that she can't go to the amusement park that was just advertised to her on television. And when you see the tears welling up in her little eyes because she was told that Funtown is closed to colored children. When you are harried by the day and haunted by the night, by the fact that you are a Negro, living in constant tiptoe stance, never knowing what to expect next, and plagued with inner fears of outer resentment, and constantly fighting the degenerate sense of nobodiness, then that's when you can begin to understand why we find it difficult to wait. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. If his repressed emotions do not come out in these nonviolent ways, then they will come out in ominous ways and expressions of violence. Now, this approach has been dismissed as extremist. And I must admit, I was initially disappointed in being considered so. But as I thought on the matter more, I gradually gained a bit of a sense of satisfaction in being considered an extremist. Was not Jesus an extremist for love? Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. Was not Amos an extremist for justice? Let justice run like waters and righteousness like mighty streams. Was not Paul an extremist for the gospel of Jesus? I bear in my body the marks of our Lord Jesus. Was not Martin Luther King an extremist? Here I stand, I can do no more, so help me God. Was not John Bunyan an extremist? I will remain in jail until the end of my days before I make a mockery of my conscience. Was not Abraham Lincoln an extremist? This nation cannot survive half free and half slave. Was not Thomas Jefferson an extremist? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. So It's not a question of will we be an extremist, but what kind of extremist will we be? Will we be an extremist for hate or an extremist for love? Will we be an extremist for the preservation of injustice? Or will we be an extremist for the cause of justice?